Hello again guys, very interesting video for you today. From GearBest I have the XK Alien X250. If you're not familiar with it, XK is a brand created by WL Toys, supposedly their higher end line of RC devices, and the X250 is, well, the 250 size quadcopter. This one specifically has a 5.8 GHz FPV transmitter with it, so let's go ahead without any further ado, open the box up and see what comes in this. Then we'll take it outside for a flight. Now as you can see it's very dark in this box, but here we have an instruction manual and documentation in both Chinese and English, talking about the features and the method of operation. We have a baggie full of just assorted components. I see a USB charging cable, a couple of screws. I'm guessing these are the pieces and parts that will allow the FPV screen to actually fit onto the controller. We have a bag with 4 props. Here's the battery. It's a 3.7 volt, 780 milliamp hour battery with a JST connector. Here's our transmitter, on-off switch, trim buttons, sticks do push in. But we also have bumper buttons, and it does take 4 AA batteries. Underneath all of this plastic was the other half of the transmitter. This should be the FPV screen as well as the antenna. And there you go, there's the screen. Antenna should screw on the top right there, just like that. Very nice. And then last but certainly not least is the quadcopter itself, the XK250, which actually reminds me an awful lot of the Dromeda Omnis. Your camera mounted to the bottom side with your battery bay. And it looks like yellow LEDs in the front, red LEDs in the rear. We'll go ahead and plug the battery in just to see what everything looks like. There we go. As expected, yellow in the front, red in the rear. And actually, I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a bunch of plugs on the underside here. One is being used for the camera, but there's 3 other ones. So not exactly sure what those will be for, but the LEDs do appear to be decently bright. You've also got this one LED right in the rear, so it should be very easy to see it from behind. Might be a pretty decent night flyer, except for the fact that it's black, so if all the lights go out, if it completely drops, you lose this thing in the dark. Now I don't have all the FPV stuff hooked up or anything, obviously, but let's just test it out real quick, see and make sure everything pairs up. Well, that's very, very nice. You got a little LCD panel there, bright blue. And that paired up pretty easily. If you're curious what it sounds like, here's how loud it goes. Which is not that loud at all. These bigger props do make it a little bit quieter. And you do have a micro SD card slot here on the side, but I don't see an included micro SD card. No, excuse me, I take that back. Inside of all the packaging there is a 4 GB micro SD card included with a micro SD card reader. And I should mention, just having this powered on, the camera is already quite hot. It's not like burning hot, but it is very, very warm to the touch. But at this point, I'm actually gonna go ahead and burn through a battery. I've said this before and I will say it again. When you buy a quad like this, when you buy a quad like anything, make sure you go through a battery one time. And what that means is you turn your transmitter on, you bind everything up, and you run it at the very, very lowest speed, just so the props are just barely moving until you've gone through the entire battery. That makes sure that the engines get just properly warmed up and burned in, and it lets you know roughly how long the battery life will last at a very, very maximum. So after you've done this one time, charge the battery back up. That lets you know how long the battery time takes to charge, and then take it out and fly it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Here we go. So this is our base rate. There's your spin. And that's supposed to be the faster rate. Does not appear to make a difference though. I'm guessing maybe with the camera installed it doesn't do that. Let's see. So we got lots of pitch. Lots and lots. And we got a little less pitch. Okay, so our yaw rate does not change, but our pitch does. We got a lot of, apparently the fire department coming. But there's our second rate. We got a lot of pitch. Very nice. Let me go ahead and get recording started if I can. Ah, there we go. Now we're recording. We just have to hold down on the right button there. So that's recording. We're in the high rate. So that's what it should look like. You can see from the FPV monitor what it looks like. Actually, the picture looks very nice and stable and clear. Oh, it is cutting out on the FPV a little bit. I don't know if you can see it there. I'm kind of keeping an eye on the device itself. We cannot do any flips in this mode if I remember correctly. Oh, we can do flips. Never mind. There's some of these where you can and some where you can't. But there you go. It does have a little bit of vortex ring state issue, so if you start coming down too quickly, you're going to get dropped out of the air. Just put it that way. The battery life appears to be around 5 minutes, but I am testing it, so we'll see how it is while we're out here. Can't really test the range here. We're don't have a huge amount of area to fly in, but in terms of the maneuverability, the performance, as long as you pay attention to what you're doing and don't run it into a tree, works very nicely. Very, very nice. There's your high rate tunnel, high rate spin. The high rate is not terribly high, but again, it's a camera quad, sort of. It's sort of a sporty camera quad. Not the sportiest little Lectrax Alias clone that I've seen, but not bad. It's a beautiful night to do this. Although the lights are not hugely bright. From below you can see them, you know, red and yellow, but they're not terribly bright. You can see the headlights from here, I think you can. There's also a return to home mode. I think you press the left trigger for that, the left button. You can see it kind of does that. So you hold the button. There you go. Now we're in headless mode. So you can kind of see that. So yeah, we're now in headless mode. Just sort of driving around. Let's get it out there away from us. I'll hit the return to home button. And now it's returning to home. Yep. That's what it did. Still very performant, very nice, fun flyer. Again, reminds me an awful lot of the Nahui toys that I just took a look at a couple of weeks ago. Or the Lectrax Alias, which I don't own. Or the Andromeda Ominous, which I've owned for a while and loved. There's a bunch of them in this class, and they all fly relatively similarly. This one only has 2 rates, but it's very well built. It's got a halfway decent camera on it. It's not amazing. Let's do a few more flips since we haven't done any. There's your flip. Oh, it didn't really like doing that flip. And there's our lights. Lights right at 4 minutes 50 seconds. And it doesn't feel like it's going to last long now. I'm at almost full throttle. It's still just barely going up. Right to the end. It's very performant. Don't want to get it too far out there in case it drops. Oh, full throttle, we're not going up anymore. So at least it is not going to just drop out of the sky. There, it did drop at 5 minutes 52 seconds. So actually that's not bad. So definitely not bad in terms of flight time, not bad in terms of performance. Not the most sporty that I've ever seen, but again, it does come with a camera on it, so it's not exactly intended to be as sporty or as performant as some other ones, but not a bad option. So I'll put a link down in the description to where you can pick one of these up if you'd like. Thanks so much to GeekerBest for sending this out for me to take a look at. Thanks to you guys for watching. Remember to hit the thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to receive more when they become available. We'll see you again next time. App drawer, you can always install a different launcher on top of this. You can have the Play Store, so you have access to all of the things that come with that. In terms of pre-installed apps, there's a top apps section of things that are pre-installed, so a bunch